Dear friends, it's hearty and warm welcome once again in this new lecture. Friends, in this lecture today we are going to start the study of new chapter. Chapter number 8 in our syllabus, that is respiration and circulation. Friends, all of you are known in the body of living organisms so many different physiological processes are continuously going on, such as digestion, excretion, respiration, circulation, etc. So, in this chapter, we people have to study in detail about these two physiological processes such as respiration and circulation. Basically, we all are aware in all living organisms to perform different life activities, to perform different body activities, to carry out different metabolic and physiological processes, it requires the energy. Because without energy, the work is not possible. After all, we are known that energy is nothing but capacity to do work. And therefore, to carry out different body processes, to carry out different life processes, the energy is necessary. Now, living organisms obtain the energy from different complex organic compounds present in the food. प्रत्येक सजीवाला वेगवेगळ्या शारीरिक क्रिया करण्यासाठी ऊर्जेची गरज असते, एनर्जीची गरज असते आणि ही ऊर्जा, ही एनर्जी तो सजीव अन्नामध्ये असणाऱ्या वेगवेगळ्या कॉम्प्लेक्स ऑर्गॅनिक कंपाउंड्स पासून मिळवत असतो. We know that the green plants, they perform the photosynthesis, prepare their own food material, and they are called as the autotrophs. But after all, they also obtain the energy from the food prepared by themselves. But in case of animals, the food which contain these complex organic compounds is obtained from the autotrophs, from the green plants, and by the digestion and oxidation of that complex organic food, the energy is obtained for different life activities. The complex organic compounds present in the food, such as carbohydrates, proteins, lipids, contain tremendous energy, large amount of energy stored, and this chemical energy stored in the form of complex organic compound is utilized by the living organism. But as the complex organic compounds contain tremendous chemical energy and it is not in biological usable form. Try to understand. Complex organic compounds मध्ये कार्बोहायड्रेट्स, लिपिड्स यांच्यामध्ये खूप मोठ्या प्रमाणावर रासायनिक ऊर्जा ही साठलेली असते. But that chemical energy is not in biological usable form. अर्थात त्यांच्यामध्ये साठलेली एनर्जी, रासायनिक ऊर्जा ही सजीवांना सरळ उपयोगाला आणता येत नाही. And that's why, first of all, that complex organic compounds, say carbohydrates or polysaccharides, they are broken down, they are hydrolyzed into their simpler form. Say the starch, glycogen, they are broken down into simpler form, that is disaccharide and monosaccharide. The lipids, which is another source of energy, it is also broken down into fatty acids, glycerol. You know, this process of breaking down or hydrolysis of complex organic food compounds into their simpler form is known as the digestion. And after digestion, after the formation of these simple soluble organic compounds, they are again oxidized, they are again broken down in orderly manner in stepwise manner to release the energy which is temporarily stored in the form of biological usable form of energy, that is ATP. Is that clear? याचा अर्थ असा होतो की प्रत्येक सजीवाच्या अन्नामध्ये असणारे जे जटिल कार्बनी पदार्थ आहेत त्यांच्यामध्ये खूप मोठ्या प्रमाणावर एनर्जी साठलेली असते, पण ती सजीवांच्या पेशी सरळ उपयोगाला आणू शकत नाही. आणि म्हणून सुरुवातीला दॅट कॉम्प्लेक्स ऑर्गॅनिक कंपाऊंड्स, ते जटिल कार्बनी पदार्थ हे साध्या स्वरूपात रूपांतरित केले जातात, ज्याला आपण पचन, डायजेशन असं म्हणतो. आणि नंतर हे जे सिंपल आणि सॉल्युबल फॉर्म मध्ये असणारे ऑर्गॅनिक कंपाऊंड्स आहेत त्यांचं स्टेप वाईज ऑर्डरली टप्प्याटप्प्याने ऑक्सिडेशन केलं जातं आणि त्यांच्यामधून जी ऊर्जा रिलीज होते ती एटीपी या मॉलिक्युलच्या स्वरूपात साठवली जाते. नाउ क्वेश्चन arises, why the oxidation or breaking down of simple organic compound is carried out in stepwise manner? Why it is not carried out all of a sudden? Very simple. Because if there is oxidation of food in one step, then a large amount of energy is produced and it can damage the cell, it can burn the cell. So the stepwise orderly oxidation of food to release the energy is simply the process of respiration. I told you just now that during respiration, during this breaking down or oxidation of food, whatever energy is released, that is temporarily stored in the form of ATP, adenosine triphosphate. And whenever the cell requires energy, at that time hydrolysis of ATP occurs. ATP is converted into ADP and inorganic phosphate, during which whatever energy is released, that is used by the cell to perform different life activities. Actually, in 11th, we people have studied about the entire mechanism of respiration. Here, you know, for the process of aerobic respiration, the oxygen is necessary. I am going to write the balanced equation of aerobic respiration for our convenience. You know that the glucose C6H12O6 plus 6O2 produces 6CO2 plus 6H2O and 38 ATP molecules. It means during the complete oxidation of 1 mole of glucose, large amount of energy is produced which is partially stored in the form of ATP molecules. And I said that ATP is nothing but the energy currency of cell. ATP is also known as the biological usable form of energy, and thus whenever it occurs the hydrolysis of ATP, there is a release of energy and that is used by the cells. Now, during the process of respiration, it involves some important events. Respiration घडून येत असताना काही महत्त्वाच्या गोष्टी घडत असतात, काही महत्त्वाच्या इव्हेंट्स त्या ठिकाणी घडत असतात. Such as, first of all, the intake of oxygen for the oxidation of glucose, especially in aerobic organisms, ज्याच्याबाबत आपण आता परत बघणार आहोत. Second, the oxidation, stepwise breaking down of food. Then during oxidation of food, whatever carbon dioxide is produced, that carbon dioxide is eliminated. So elimination of carbon dioxide, because we know after all CO2 is proved toxic to the body cells, and the conservation of energy so released during the process of oxidation of glucose, conservation of energy in the form of ATP. It means the process of respiration, it basically involves some important events such as the intake of oxygen from environment, from surrounding, oxidation of food, third, elimination of carbon dioxide produced during the oxidation of glucose, and conservation of energy in the form of ATP. It means the respiration, it involves one most important event, that is the exchange of gases, that is the intake of environmental oxygen and elimination of carbon dioxide from body cell, that is the exchange of gases between the body or body cells and environment. And for that purpose it requires certain respiratory organs, it requires certain respiratory surfaces about which we are going to study. So let us talk about the respiratory surface. A respiratory surface or respiratory organs means simply the specialized organs, specialized structures which facilitate the exchange of gases between the environment and body cells. Respiratory surfaces are nothing but these are specialized structures, specialized organs which facilitates the exchange of gases, that is the intake of O2 and release out of CO2 between the body cell and environment. And such respiratory surfaces must have some special features. These are variable from organism to organism, but that respiratory surfaces, respiratory organs must have some special features for efficient exchange of gases. योग्य पद्धतीने गॅसेस O2 आणि CO2 यांची देवाणघेवाण होण्यासाठी या रेस्पिरेटरी सरफेसेस मध्ये काही वैशिष्ट्य असणं आवश्यक आहे. पहिली गोष्ट, द रेस्पिरेटरी सरफेस मस्ट हॅव लार्ज surface area. Respiratory surface must have large surface area so that there should be maximum and efficient exchange of gases should occur. Second thing, it must be thin, vascular as far as concerned with animals. You know, vascular means having rich supply of blood, and permeable for easy exchange of gases. Third, the respiratory surfaces should be moist. Respiratory surfaces should be moist. So, these are some of the important features expected in respiratory surface for efficient exchange of gases. Now, initially, we people have to discuss about the gaseous exchange in plants and for which the respiratory surfaces required in plants. So let us talk about it. Gaseous exchange in plants. All of you are known that plants are classified into so many different groups and subgroups, but the gymnosperms and angiosperms are considered as the higher plants. Especially the angiosperms are considered as highly evolved, highly advanced group of plants. And in these angiosperms, for the exchange of gases, some specialized structures are seen. That is nothing but the stomata and lenticels. Stomata and lenticels. Stomata, these are nothing but very microscopic and elliptical openings present along the surfaces of leaf. We know in monocot plants the stomata are present along both the surfaces of leaf, that is adaxial and abaxial, upper as well as lower, in more or less same number. While in dicot plants the stomata remain mostly restricted along the lower surface. So these stomata, that is minute elliptical openings. Consider here is supposed to be the leaf, and along the upper or lower surface of leaf there are presence of such microscopic openings. You know these microscopic openings, that is stoma, are surrounded by specialized cells called as the guard cells, which regulate opening and closing of stoma. So these stomata, which are minute elliptical openings, they facilitate for the exchange of gases. It means the environmental oxygen diffuses easily through these stomata into the leaf tissue, while the carbon dioxide releases out through the stomata back into the environment. As far as concerned with the stem and branches of trees and shrubs यांच्यामध्ये जे काही स्टेम आणि ब्रांचेस आहेत, we know that remain covered by means of quite thick and impervious bark. Present over the stem and branches show presence of very minute, very small openings known as lenticels. Consider here is supposed to be the stem covered by means of bark, and there are presence of such type of lenticels through which the exchange of gases occur. It means in higher plants, for the process of exchange of gases, the stomata and lenticels acts as a respiratory surfaces, but it is also necessary to transport these gases from one part to another part. We know that in higher plants the parenchyma acts as the ground tissue because it forms the major part of plant body, and the cells of parenchymatous tissue are quite loosely arranged. They show intercellular spaces, they show the air spaces, and through which the gases can easily diffuse up to different parts. In this manner, in higher plants, the exchange of gases and transportation of gases occurs with the help of stomata, lenticels, and through the intercellular spaces, air spaces. Now, we have to discuss little bit about the respiratory surfaces in animals. Let us talk about it. Respiratory surfaces in animals. Animals show great variety, great diversity in their respiratory surfaces, and this diversity in the respiratory surfaces is depend upon the complexity of their body organization as well as the surrounding medium. प्राण्यांमध्ये respiratory surfaces बाबत खूप विविधता दिसते, डायव्हर्सिटी दिसते, व्हेरिएशन दिसतं, आणि ही जी विविधता आहे that is based upon the complexity of body organization. It means whether that animal is simple, primitive, unicellular or multicellular, and second thing, its surrounding medium. It means whether that animal is terrestrial or aquatic or semi-aquatic. We know that in most of the animals, the respiration involve the molecular oxygen. That is, the molecular oxygen is utilized for the oxidation of glucose and formation of energy. And such type of respiration in which molecular oxygen is utilized, known as aerobic respiration, and the animals in which aerobic respiration is seen, known as simply aerobes or aerobic organisms. While in some organisms the oxidation of glucose is carried out without utilization of oxygen, there may be the release of CO2 or not, but the oxygen is not utilized, and such type of respiration in which molecular oxygen is not utilized, known as anaerobic respiration. Such organisms are known as anaerobes or anaerobic organisms. Now, as far as concerned with aerobes, the different types of respiratory surfaces are seen. Let us talk about that surfaces. Now, the aerobic respiration, I said just now, it's a type of respiration which involve the intake of environmental oxygen and release out of carbon dioxide from the body cells, from the body of that organism. Now, this aerobic respiration is further of two types, such as direct aerobic respiration and indirect aerobic respiration. Let me tell you its meaning. Direct aerobic respiration means it is the type of respiration in which the exchange of gases between the body or body cell and surrounding medium, surrounding environment occurs without any specialized respiratory organ and without the aid of blood, means without the help of blood. ज्या प्रकारच्या रेस्पिरेशन मध्ये तो सजीव आणि पर्यावरण एन्व्हायरमेंट यांच्यामध्ये डायरेक्ट सरळ ऑक्सिजन आणि कार्बन डायऑक्साइड यांची देवाणघेवाण होते, त्यासाठी त्यांच्यामध्ये कुठलंही स्पेशलाइज्ड असं रेस्पिरेटरी ऑर्गन दिसत नाही. तसंच फॉर द ट्रान्सपोर्टेशन ऑफ गॅसेस ब्लड विच इज द इम्पॉर्टंट मीडियम is not involved, known as direct respiration. Now, this direct respiration is seen in different organisms such as bacteria, protists, sponges, flatworms, roundworms, and also some arthropods. Let us talk briefly about the respiratory surfaces in these protists, sponges, etc. Let me tell you that protists, nothing but the unicellular eukaryotic organism, that is protozoans, which involve amoeba, paramecium, etc. Let us take the example of amoeba. We know that amoeba is unicellular eukaryotic and aquatic organism. On an average, the size of amoeba proteus is near about 0.25 mm. The size of cell of amoeba is near about 0.25 millimeter, and thus it has quite large surface area. Through this surface area, directly it occurs the exchange of gases. That is, the O2 diffuses into the cell from surrounding aquatic medium and carbon dioxide diffuses out from cell into the water. It means here there is no any specialized organ for the exchange of gases. Exchange of gases occurs directly through the plasma membrane, directly through the cell membrane. Okay, this is nothing but the direct respiration. Consider about the sponges. You know, sponges means the organisms belonging to phylum Porifera. Let us take the example of cycon. Now here in cycon also it occurs the exchange of gases directly from each and every cell with that of surrounding. In case of coelentrates, consider Hydra. Each and every cell of Hydra comes in direct contact with the surrounding water, and therefore the oxygen present in the water is directly diffused into the cell while CO2 is eliminated out. Means each and every cell, it brings about the exchange of gases sufficient for its own metabolism. In case of some flatworms, roundworms as well as some arthropods also, there occurs the direct exchange of gases without involvement of specialized respiratory organ and without the aid, that is without the help of blood. Now come to the indirect type of respiration. I told you just now that direct respiration means here any specialized respiratory organ as well as the blood for the transportation of gases is not necessary. Indirect transportation, it is seen in higher animals, few of the non-chordates and all vertebrates, that is from fishes up to the mammals. Now in this type of respiration, different specialized respiratory organs are necessary for the exchange of gases, as well as it requires the blood as a medium for the transportation of gases. Why? Because in these animals which show indirect respiration, all body cells does not come in direct contact with the environment. अर्थात जे हायर ॲनिमल्स आहेत, काही नॉन कॉर्डेट सुद्धा, त्यांच्यामध्ये सर्वच्या सर्व बॉडी सेल्स हे एन्व्हायरमेंटच्या, त्यांच्या सराउंडिंगच्या डायरेक्ट कॉन्टॅक्ट मध्ये येत नाही, अँड देअरफॉर देयर इज नो पॉसिबिलिटी ऑफ डायरेक्ट एक्सचेंज ऑफ गॅसेस बिटवीन ईच अँड एव्हरी सेल अँड सराउंडिंग मीडियम, अँड देअरफॉर the exchange of gases is carried out with the help of specialized organs, and from which the gases are transported up to each and every cell or to and from the cell with the help of blood. On the basis of respiratory surfaces, indirect respiration is further of different types. Say cutaneous respiration. Here the respiratory surface is in the form of skin. Now cutaneous respiration, you know, it is shown by frog. It is possible in water as well as in air. Cutaneous, this word stands for the skin. Cutaneous respiration, it takes place in annelids, in some crustaceans. You know, crustaceans means the arthropods which belongs to class crustacea. आर्थ्रोपोडा या फायलम मध्ये जो क्रस्टेशिया क्लास आहे त्याच्यामध्ये असणारे, त्या गटात येणाऱ्या प्राण्यांना म्हटलं जातं क्रस्टेशियन्स. तसंच से इन सर्टन एम्फिबियन्स cutaneous respiration is seen. So here the cutaneous respiration in which the exchange of gases takes place through the skin. Second, Bucco-pharyngeal respiration. Bucco-pharyngeal, name itself indicates. Bucco stands for the buccal cavity and pharyngeal stands for the pharynx. So here the respiration is carried out or respiratory organ is in the form of bucco-pharynx. It is possible in air and it is shown by frog and toad. Third type, branchial respiration. Here branchial stands for the gills. When the respiratory surface is in the form of gills, then it is known as the branchial respiration, and it is shown by many of the annelids, mollusks, few of the amphibians, especially the tadpole of frog, as well as in all fishes. means the branchial respiration is possible in water only or in air. And last one is pulmonary respiration. Pulmonary stands for the lungs, means in this type the exchange of gases is carried out with the help of these specialized structures, that is nothing but the lungs, and it is shown by terrestrial animals. Say it is seen in reptiles, birds, mammals and also in amphibians. So on the basis of different respiratory organs, indirect respiration is of different types. So simply here we have discussed about the introductory part of this chapter. We shall talk about the human respiratory system in our next lecture. So let us stop here today. Thank you and bye.